And welcome to Noise 11, Rick Price.
Thank you, Paul. Great to be with you, buddy.
Yeah, we're talking about some interesting things. In fact, we've been sort of on a similar track over the last couple of years. Last time we spoke, but Wayfaring Stranger, I guess, continues. It's a story of rediscovery for you, I guess, with gospel music, and that's really a continuation you've explored over previous albums with Soulville,
Yeah,
with Soul and California Dreaming. With that California sound, it's like the rediscovery of another music genre.
yes. I've always been, from when I was a kid, my earliest influence was really the soul singers: Sam Cooke, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Otis Redding. They were massively present in the market when I was a kid coming up, and I loved their voices. And to me, soul music and gospel music's very connected. Blues and roots music, all of that sort of sound. I'm very drawn to that, even though I'm more known for being a pop songwriter, probably. And my songs have been more mainstream pop. But if you go through some of my records, you can see it. You can, there's a little sort of sample of it. But I've always loved gospel music. And now I feel at my age, and I'm in a place where I just make the music that excites me. I don't care to worry about, whether it's going to be successful in the market necessarily, because who knows. But yeah, it's definitely a style of music that really excites me.
Well, I guess, this rediscovery goes way back 30 years, doesn't it? Because Walk Away Renee, when you were doing Walk Away Renee back then, you were, showing us that you were going back and exploring what came before you.
And see, I came up singing in R&B bands and playing bass. I played bass for Marsha Hines and Kerry Bedell and John English, various different people on the road. But when I was, in my sort of late 20s, that's what I was doing. And when I put my first records out, I think it actually surprised some of the people that knew me, because it wasn't as R&B as they thought it might be. But it's interesting, when you think about it. I also grew up on James Taylor and singer-songwriters, people like that. And James, when you listen to his vocal, it's very rhythm and blues, a lot of what he's singing. Even though it comes across in a sort of a folk style. So I guess I'm a mix of all the things I grew up listening to, and, all those influences come out.
Yeah, well, I guess James was going back and exploring music of the 60s, soul music, like, How Sweet It Is, Up on the Roof. He was very much, coming from the same direction you were, I guess.
Yeah, and I just it's very interesting that you say that. It is a rediscovery, because the early influences stay with you. I remember being a little kid, and I started with my family band when I was 8, singing, and I was singing Michael Jackson songs, and we do Creedence songs, which always had that sort of rootsy kind of feel about it. Rhythm and blues. Johnny Fogerty had that sound, so it goes way back. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about it in that way. I just go with what I feel like doing at the time and what inspires me. But yeah, it's definitely harking back to the early influences when I was a kid.
Here's something that'll freak you out. When you released Walk Away Renee, your cover of that song, 27 years after the original version, it's now 30 years after you released Walk Away Renee. When your version of Walk Away Renee came out, it wasn't as old a song as what your song is today.
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of spooky, isn't it? Like, I remember, and it was interesting because a lot of people thought that I wrote that song when in Australia. I mean, obviously Americans wouldn't have thought that, but a lot of people in Australia, like my younger audience at that time, had not really heard the original, Four Tops version, or and thought that it was a song that I'd I'd written myself. But yeah, a great chorus, man, it just stands the test of time. And you can analyze it to a point, but you can't really work it out. It's just great.
With the new album, Wayfaring Stranger, I mean, there's so much history that comes with this record. The title track, Wayfaring Stranger, dates back 65 years to 1858. Amazing Grace, 1979. Will the Circle Be Unbroken, 1907.
Wow.
Wade in the Water, 1901. Down in the Valley to Pray, 1867. Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, 1894. Go Tell It on a Mountain, 1901. There's not a song there that's less than 100 years old.
Yes, very old traditional songs. Oh, this is something I was talking with my publisher about as well. We both love that, that genre of music. And when you go back and discover all those old songs, it's an exciting excursion. And what I decided to do with this Wayfaring Strangers, I've released it. I'm splitting it up into 2 EPs. So the first release is an EP of 5 of the tracks, which is Wayfaring Stranger, Will the Circle Be Unbroken, Amazing Grace, Rock My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham, and Wade in the Water, which is one of my favorite songs. And I sort of tune into people like Maida Staples and and then as well with a lot of the old gospel stuff. It's just a very exciting, feel-good style of music. And, I put a band together for this record, which I haven't done for a long time. So I usually play a lot of the instruments myself. But for this, I really wanted to have a great band of musicians that really understood that style. And I remember the guitar player, we were recording in my house, and I had the control rooms upstairs, and he was downstairs in the kitchen, and he said, "Sounds legit, man. Sounds legit." I was like, "Cool, we've hit it. We've hit the spot."
Yeah. Well, you live in Nashville, and from what I can gather from the songs that you've chosen to do on here, Wade in the Water and Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, were first recorded by the Fisk Jubilee Singers, who are from Nashville's Fisk University. Were you aware that the local heritage of those songs when you were recording them?
No, I wasn't. And I've been singing that song and sort of finding different versions of it. I think there's a couple of different versions I've got up on YouTube, just of me jamming in my studio. But no, I don't know, or you probably know more of the history, you would, I'm sure, of these songs. I connect with them just on a musical level, like it's like on a song level. Like when I hear that chorus, I think, I want to sing that. I just want to sing it, and I start to hear different rhythms and tempos and ways I can do it. And that's basically what I did. I sat on my drum kit and just played different feels for the songs until I felt like, yeah, that's kind of how I want to do it. Because you have to try to bring something new to it, And when I recorded it, it just felt very live. But no, the history of the songs, no, I don't know as much about the history of those songs as you would probably think I do.
Well, what about these?
Rick's done all the research. No, I just love the songs, and I connect with the story of the songs. I connect with the songs on a spiritual level, certainly, because that's what it is for me. It's not, I don't come at these songs from a religious place. Not that I have anything against any religions at all, but I just come at it purely from a spiritual consciousness, awareness, place, which excites me. Where especially when I'm looking forward to going out playing these songs live, because my set has become more and more about spiritual stuff, I guess, in a way.
I guess a lot of famous rock artists, country artists, pop artists have circled back to many of these songs. Emmylou Harris and Jack White have done Wayfaring Stranger. Rod Stewart has done Amazing Grace. Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? Wade in the Water's been done by Billy Preston. Herb Alpert.
I haven't heard that version.
Yeah.
Love to hear Billy Preston's version of Wade in the Water.
Yeah, I think the Swing Low Sweet Chariot, there was an incredible version, probably the best known version of that by Eric Clapton.
Gotta check that out. Yeah, I do it like in a sort of a swampy sway low, sweet jazz, like a blues, shuffle.
And even Peter, Paul and Mary reached number 8 on the Australian chart in 1964 with Tell It on a Mountain.
I remember that. I didn't know what the chart position was, but I remember their version. As a matter of fact, I think that was one of the versions I listened to when I connected with the song to see how I might do it, and to not be too similar to anybody else, but sometimes you'll just hear a little something in another version that feels, great and that you can expand on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I could research these songs, perhaps that's what I should do with you. I should pay you to research all this music for me, and I could just record it for the rest of my life because I love this style of music. I love what the music says. I love what the lyrics, how it sort of brings people together, and I love the spiritual aspect and content of it. And I don't feel it has to be religious in any certain way, even though the Jesus name comes up in a lot of the songs, and even though I follow a lot of I follow his teaching, so to speak, but I don't follow any particular religion, But I love how the songs connect us in that way.
When you take the songs for Wayfaring Stranger, for Soulville, that group of songs, when you curate the songs for something like California Dreaming, is there an element of deconstruction that goes on, and then you reconstruct them and put them back together and interpret them as Rick Price songs?
To a certain degree, with the California Dreaming album, we tried to stay fairly true to the arrangements and the style of the song, the feel and the general sort of vibe of the song, because we didn't want to do versions that were too different. And we were also recording them, under the banner of Sony. So there's those things to consider as well, like the A&R people and all, feel as if they want to contribute to how the record should go. But yeah, it's fun to take a great song and mess with it a little bit, but you have to, for me anyway, I don't like it when it sounds like people take a great song and they're just busking over it. That really gives me the shit, because it's like, wait a second, why dance around a beautiful melody? That's an amazing melody. That's why the song's so great. So there are certain elements that need to stay in place. And then sort of hard to describe, but you kind of know the area. I feel as if I want to get to know the areas of the song where I can embellish and move a little bit without insulting the song, without sacrificing the beautiful melody. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but yeah, there's definitely a deconstruction and then a reconstruction. That's a good way to put it. I've never thought of it like that, but that is the process. Yeah.
So when you deconstruct a song, is a discovery of the DNA when you get to that level?
That's a great point you raised. Soul singing, and there's a definite connection between soul singers and gospel singers. And what is a soul singer? It's not to do with the color of your skin or where you come from or where you were born or what era you were raised in, I don't think. A soul singer is someone that's reaching down, that's digging as deep as they can when they're singing. They're reaching down for that sort of rawness. When I first heard Otis Redding, or I heard Ray Charles or Sam Cooke and those guys, I didn't realize that. I just heard it and thought, what is that? That's not like the stuff I'm used to hearing on the radio that I had grown up with. And people like Johnny Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater Revival, to me, he's a soul singer. He's as much a soul singer as anybody because he's reaching down for that rawness, and expressing. Does it have to be true? I'm not sure that the content of the lyric necessarily has to be a true story, but what has to be true is the authentic connection that you're making with yourself, with reaching down to sing in that way that is very vulnerable, it's very raw, and it's honest to your own spirit, if that makes sense. It's honest to your own being. I think that's what I love. I think James Taylor is a great soul singer, though he might not consider himself that. I think he thinks of himself as more of a folk singer, but I think he's very much a soul singer.
These Wayfaring Stranger shows, will they be just the album, or will you also be going back and looking at the past as well?
No, definitely playing sort of the songs that are most popular with my audience. Heaven knows, not a day. I try to pick a couple songs from each album. There are some albums I don't get to, but I'll be doing, like some of my well-known songs, songs from the Wayfaring Stranger EP, and some new songs. Because I'm recording a new original album next year when I get back to Nashville. So I'll be playing songs from that as well. So I try and mix it up a little bit. But I don't like to, I like people to leave feeling that they've heard the songs that they came to hear. If I went to see James Taylor and he didn't play Fire and Rain, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I'd like to hear him sing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And good to see you.
Man, it's great to see you too. Good to see your smiling face, my brother.